So today's video is about me switching from Android S21 5G Ultra to this beautiful iPhone 14 Plus. And they're pretty similar in screen size, but this one is dead because I reset it and I don't want to push the button, because if I do, it'll start asking me like choose your language, your region. And so yeah, I put it online for sale, and I said, hey, I'm gonna throw in the hot case, and then I discovered, I don't know how did this happen, like this is broken, and then this piece here, if you push it, it's not steady. So I think when I did drop it a couple of times. You see, this one is moving. But whoever comes in, whoever gets the phone, I'll tell them, hey, you want this? You can probably put some Gorilla Glue in there and it should work. And one lady was, some people are, I don't know, one lady was saying, I did not know how much to charge for this, but when I was selling my old iPhone a couple of years ago, or maybe a year ago, I think I got like $600 or $500, and so I put the ad online without the price, like please comment, and then people were saying, okay, how much you want? And then I saw some offers. Somebody offered like $350, $400. One guy said $450. And so I knew that 500 Canadian is a good price, and so I changed my ad, and instead of contact for price, I said 500 Canadian, and got a few takers, except one lady says, oh, I can only afford 350, like I'm on a budget. Okay, does it come with a charger? And I do have a couple of chargers, but I think nowadays when I buy a new phone, just like what I discovered with the iPhone, all you get is the cable, right? And so I got this, I only got this cable, and I just use my USB-C charger. I like this thing. This actually a fast charger for Samsung phone, but it worked. You see, so now I have my own charger, but I think I shouldn't be providing chargers to people. Oh, and then when I was looking at that SIM card, I googled how to insert the SIM card in the iPhone, and it says starting with model 14 in US, iPhone no longer supports physical SIM cards. I'm like, wait, why do I have TELUS SIM card? And online they're saying it doesn't support it. And then I started reading more articles posted, and it says other countries may still sell iPhone 14 with physical SIM. And as you saw in yesterday's video, the phone did come with that tool for the SIM card, right? It came with this little pin that we always lose, right? But I put it in this box. I'm gonna keep the original box, so next time I have to open that compartment, I know where it is. So after checking online, like I try to put that SIM card, like I don't know, like how you put it in, which way to orient. Again, I searched, I googled, searched online, boom, finally it worked. But actually, before I did that, before I inserted, I called TELUS, because on the back, my new provider, because on the back of that card with the SIM card there was a phone number, right? So I called them, and they confirmed my identity, and then we started talking, and I said, is this already activated? And it turns out it was not activated. And so she says, okay, finally she says, the lady on the phone says, everything is finished, your new SIM card should automatically take your, my old Bell number, and as soon as you do that, your Bell phone will stop working. Okay, interesting, right? And so I restarted Wi-Fi in my apartment, because usually I keep it turned off for security purposes, because my computer is on the Ethernet, connected, hardwired through cable. But iPhone, as soon as after I put in the SIM card, it started asking me, like, which Wi-Fi you want to join? Because I think my cellular connection was not active yet. And so I restarted my Wi-Fi, joined my own Wi-Fi, 5G, and that was it. So I didn't do anything much yesterday, because after I I called 611 from the phone, because that's the way you know how to tell who is your provider, and because there's an automatic greeting and it says welcome to Bell, or welcome to Telus, or thank you for calling Verizon, right? And when I called 611, because I already saw there was a network icon there saying that the phone is online, it says welcome to Telus. Cool. And then I have a one-line account set up with the Telus, so everything is cool. And so this morning, and yesterday I created a list of what apps I have to move to my phone. By the way, contacts, I find that that's the easiest way nowadays to move contacts from your old phone. You don't need all these fancy, move your contacts, all these apps. You just use Google Sync, right? Like I use Google Mail, and when it's all synchronized. When I signed in on the new phone, when I created my account, Google account again on the iPhone, it just took all the contacts from the cloud. I didn't have to do anything. Just I had to make sure that the sync was on, and that's it. And so so yesterday I created a list of the apps that I had to, of the things I had to do, like mostly the apps, right? And what I did was I needed YouTube, I needed WhatsApp, I needed Google Maps or Waze, and then a couple of other apps. What else did I add there? Hold on. Starbucks. I had to add Starbucks, WhatsApp, and I logged on, in Uber, because I always use Uber. And this took like an hour, all these apps, and then I deleted. There's a bunch of apps. Like, why would I want to use a desktop app like Pages from Mac on my phone, or presentation software, what it's called, Keyword. But like these big desktop programs, so I removed all of them, since I don't plan to use any of that on my phone. And as for maps, this is the first time I decided not to install Google Maps, because the phone already has Apple Maps that lots of people complain about. Yeah, the guy above me is doing some repairs. Started at 8 in the morning. And I was, when I'm playing my accordion, I'm trying to be quiet. And I used to play it like at 5 o'clock. Then, because the isolation here, like the noise insulation, is very bad. Like when this guy is walking, he's just strolling down in his apartment, I can hear every step. Actually, I want to go and ask the manager. I was thinking, I have two questions. What did you guys do with the noise insulation between the first and second floor? And question number two, I really want to know, how heavy is that guy? Because it's like, when he's walking, it's like this. And that's why this guy actually wants, what happened is, because it's been a while since I lived in a kind of like community building like this. I didn't realize it was already 1 o'clock, at night, and I was watching a TV, and the sound was pretty loud, and these guys started, you know, they came down and they knocked on my door, boom, 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 you know. So right away I knew that my TV was too loud, but it didn't come out because my shotgun was not loaded. So just kidding, I'm joking, okay. But anyway, yeah, the installation here, it's like, it's a bit awful. But the first impressions is that the iPhone seems to have a better signal, either because it's a different phone or because now I changed the network from Bell to Telus, but I have, you know, at least some bars in here, whereas before quite often there was no signal, you know, on this phone. So I'm glad I jumped to this one. And so yeah, so I moved all the apps. Of course you have to sign in, you know, they send you all these text messages to prove your identity. Man, it took like an hour. Oh yeah, and so what I was saying is that the first time ever I decided not to install Google Maps, but rather go with Waze, because I think Waze is more accurate, except I'm gonna miss reviews, you know, like I'm considered like a local guide, so I go to some place and I, like a restaurant, and I take pictures and I do a review. I don't think you can do it on Waze because, you know, with Google, but there's a bunch of apps. And then of course I had to, one major thing I had to do with, when I installed WhatsApp, and I found my mother's address in there and the guy I'm chatting with in England. So the England guy was okay, but mother, I realized right away I need to add a keyboard layout for Russian language. And so that took a few minutes, you know, to figure out how to add a new language. And then I added incorrect layout. It was like English layout, you know. So I had to go back, cancel that one, add the proper Russian layout so I can type. And then I opened WhatsApp and I sent a message to my mother. I said, checking the connection, проверка связи. Поменял телефон. Checking the connection, I've changed my phone. And she sent back, hi, the message came through. Привет, сообщение пришло. And I said, got it. All the best. I'm okay. Понял, всего хорошего, у меня все путем. That's it. So at least we checked this channel. WhatsApp is working. And that's it. So now, oh yeah, then the last thing I did, so yeah, I deleted a bunch of apps that I'm never gonna use. And the last thing I always do is, because, you know, that's pretty annoying, right? With the phone goes dark in like 15-20 seconds. So I always go into the display setting and I change to never, because I'd rather, you know, use it and then click this button to turn the phone off, right? I prefer to do it manually instead of for the phone doing it like every 30 seconds when I'm still working on something or looking at the screen. And I think that's it. So now all I need is, because this is such a nice phone, and I like how the clock, the numbers are so big, you know, cool. So now all I need to get is a case, you know. So maybe I'll go to my Pixels website, because I don't know if you guys know this, but, you know, on my Pixels website, Sergei-Dratchev-Pixels.com, where all my photos are, you can turn any photo into a case for a phone. And I think they only support iPhone is 100% supported, but I think they also support Samsung. Actually, I remember I took a nice picture, kind of like a forest, and somebody bought it as a case, which is kind of like interesting. But that's the, you know, the thing with these online stores. You go there and you choose a picture, and you can buy it as a t-shirt, you can buy it as a towel, or beach towel, you can put it on a bag. Last year I sold a couple of mugs where people, they would go to a picture, like there was a picture of a truck the guy liked, and he got it as a mug, so I made some $1.60, so maybe I'll go there and check how long it'll take to get a custom case for my new phone. And in other news, last Friday, before when I was renting a car to go shooting, right? And I found the second, I'm looking at the map here on my screen, I found a second public land zone near Calgary where it looks like they don't have any firearm restrictions and there's no gates. Remember how I went to one, that McLean Creek public land, and there's gates there. You cannot enter until spring. And so I was talking to this guy from England just responded to my test message on WhatsApp. I said, hey, change the phone, checking the connection. What did he say? He says, yeah, loud and clear. Saw the video earlier when you received it. Cool, when I received the phone. And so Friday, before I went to pick up that Kia Rio, funny car, I started calling Parks Canada, or Alberta Environment and Parks, whatever they're called, trying to find somebody, trying to ask for advice about this new public land area that the previous lady suggested, but I've never been there, right? And so I just had some questions like, how do you go there? What's the best spot, if they maybe know it? And eventually they gave me one phone number, call this guy, call this guy, call this guy. And then finally I got a phone number for one of the consultants, like government official, who specifically deals with this public land zone, this particular zone. So this is kind of like his working territory. And the only problem is when I called him, there was a voicemail. And so I left voicemail. I described what I want to do. I said, I'm just looking for some tips, where to go. Do I need an off-road vehicle, or what's the story? Because it was confusing, all these like the legend on the screen, right? You have black lines, which are paved roads, and then you have these purple roads, which are, according to the map legend, are open year-round, and they are good for motorized vehicles with an overall width up to and including 98 inches or 2.4 meters. And on the right, it says, what type of motorized vehicle am I driving? Truck, side-by-side, quad, motorcycle, snow vehicle. And all of these are allowed here on the purple road. Or line, whatever, right? And so, but I remember when I went to the previous one, that McLean's, it didn't look like a road for a regular vehicle, It was like this, very bumpy, lots of humps. It looked like an off-road route, And all I've seen there actually were guys with these four-wheelers. And so I wanted to make sure, like, especially since, I thought I would be going that weekend, and all I had was this front-wheel drive Kia Rio. And so that's why I called the guy. And surprisingly, he called me back yesterday. And he called back my phone, Samsung, which of course did not ring. And right away something ping, and it says, you have a new voicemail. And that was like the story of my life with this Samsung phone here. At least yesterday, one of the guys that wanted to buy Samsung, we were texting on Kijiji, and he says, what's your phone number? So I gave him my phone number, and 5 minutes later my iPhone rang. You know, that very rarely happened with this phone. I'm telling you, like, something is going on here, some kind of a big government conspiracy here. And if you remember with this phone, this was a 5G Ultra, right? So I even called Bell and I said, can you please turn off 5G? And the guy says, no, it's not possible. Your phone will always default to 5G because it's 5G Ultra. And then I said, are you sure? Can you talk to somebody? Then he found a guy who knew about this, and he says, yeah, actually we can turn off 5G from our end. And that's when I started seeing 4G only, and it became better, but still I was losing calls. Like, basically, just like I said, the phone would beep and there would be a voicemail. And so at least my iPhone rang yesterday, and this guy called me and he says he gonna call me today at about 11. I think we agreed on a $500 price. Oh, and also I'm gonna throw in this baby over here. You need this in order to use a regular, like on Samsung, they no longer give you this kind of like connector, so you have to use this, right? And you put it in here, and then you put this in here, you know, and then you can use your regular, you know, earphones, right? And so this piece is very important, but since I don't need it anymore for the iPhone, I don't think. Does it have earphone adapter? I mean earphone port? No. Maybe it's the same deal. Oh, but it's different. Yeah, the iPhone has this. Right, it's different from USB-C. Okay. Yeah, so I'm gonna give it to him. I'm give him this, give him the broken case in case he can use it. So he can the phone works fine, no issues. And so this guy calls me back, leaves a voicemail, and then I use my VoIP, like a landline phone. Who's like texting me over here? Good morning. I think it's this guy from Kijiji, but let's see what else he says. I don't see the name, just says good morning. And so I call the guy on my VoIP phone, the guy from that new public land zone, and this was immensely helpful. What he told me, first off, the first thing I learned, just as I suspected, these purple lines, they are not for regular vehicles, even though it says on the legend, yeah, motorized vehicles, just like I read, right? And it says up to what? Up to 98 inches in width. I allowed, and I checked the width, let's say, of a regular car is about 72 inches. So you would think you can go, but this guy says no. He says technically, he says all these, as soon as the color changes from black to something like pink or purple, these are all off-road routes. He says you need to have like ATV, four-wheeler, side-by-side, whatever, motorcycle. He says it's wide, but if you might get stuck if you go with the regular truck because they don't have enough clearance, because over there it's like, you know, bumps, it's really off-road, you know. And so I said, that's it, that's what I was looking for. So I said, any idea like what are the spots where I can go? And basically his recommendation was to stay on the black line on paved roads, but he says they're not necessarily paved, they'll be gravel roads, but at least it's if it's black line, you can go with the regular vehicle. Even I told him about Kia Rio. He says, yeah, even your Kia Rio should be okay there. And he told me which roads in that zone were municipally controlled, like plowed on a regular basis, and which roads were not very good. And so now I have a very clear idea where I can go. So I just need the good weather so that it's not too cold, you know. And he says, yeah, people go there for target practice all the time. He says, you will actually see some spots, like he gave me a couple of pointers, like which roads to go on, like black line roads. And he says, you will see like an open spot, and you'll probably see some stands where people usually go to shoot, and you might even see people actually shooting. He says, just find a spot with no trails, hiking trails crossing the area, and some kind of a backdrop in the back that will stop your bullets. And so, wow. And that's about hour and a half away from Calgary, but I think it's going to be so much more fun to shoot, like unconventional targets. Like I have cans of pop, jugs of pop. I can bring some, maybe, I don't know, probably not watermelons, because then it's hard to clean up, because of course you're supposed to clean up after yourself. But I'm definitely bringing some trash bags, and I'm gonna clean up. But probably first time I'll go, maybe this weekend if the weather's good, I'll just bring my shotgun with some buckshot and some 1 ounce slugs. Maybe it would be cool, just stand, I don't know, 10 meters away, and just try to hit a 330 mil can of pop with a slug. So it would be cool. So that's my news. So new phone and new ideas for recreational target shooting. That's it. Ciao.